firefighting on
because of
and
the
off.
load.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to
So-
call to order the
I
August 1st,
was right.
2022 workshop meeting of the Plymouth Township Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Following our workshop meeting, we will have a special meeting for a text and map amendment ordinance hearing. Our 100th birthday recognition is the first item up here for Florence Bruno.
I'd like to do that.
Kathy? We'll have a swearing in for the deputy fire marshal. Karen? So it'll be Karen, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Reminder, I won't be here next Monday. So.
Oh, okay, yes, that's right.
So don't give anything to me.
Oh, you'll get plenty the next month.
Let's see. We are going down to administration, our budget meeting schedule announcement.
Yeah, so these are the typical dates, the third and fourth Mondays in October and the third Monday in November. I wanted to point out that November 21st is Thanksgiving week. And also, it will be a short turnaround if there are any changes to that budget, because we then have to get the budget ordinance advertised definitely by the 2nd of December, and it just leaves less than a week for changes for Kellen and his department. So I just didn't know if council wanted to stick with that schedule, or if you would want to consider the Tuesday the 15th or Wednesday the 16th of November.
I assume we have a meeting
You
on
have
the
a
14th.
regular meeting on the 14th, yes.
Anybody have an issue with the Tuesday,
Not at all.
the 15th?
15.
Oh, it's going to be Tuesday, the 15th, not Thanksgiving week?
Well, it's a question at
Better.
this point, to you.
It doesn't matter to me.
Is the bigger concern that it's closer turnaround time? Yeah.
Well, that is a concern, just in case there's changes that you have to the budget, then they have to get all crunched together and, be done.
I'm fine with Tuesday the 15th.
Yeah.
I'm checking.
All right, great, thank you.
We're just waiting on Karen.
Yes, I have something in the morning, but I'm okay in the evening. Sorry.
That'd be at 6 or 7.
6 usually, budget meetings, You good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure.
You have to be there.
Yeah, we can stay home, you can't.
Tuesday.
So we'll change this and have it read for next week. We're going to give it to somebody as an announcement.
Anybody want it? It's an easy one.
I'll take it.
Who said that, Lynn?
Yeah.
All right. We'll have a draft ordinance for the Government Study Commission.
That is in your books. We stand to draft. The only question I have is, do you want it for first consideration on next week's agenda? Timing-wise, or did you want to just have a draft and then make it, first consideration next month, or first and final next month? I just don't know how you want to move that.
I'm trying to remember the timeline that Alex had sent, because I think everything was like very
The
stringent.
sooner the better.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it would be presented for first consideration?
Yes, I think that's what we're recommending.
Yeah.
First and final?
First and final?
No, it
No,
hasn't been
just first.
advertised.
Just first,
Yeah,
just first.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll change, add that for next week.
Will Mike read that?
Yep.
And then, anything else for admin? Police and public safety?
John was off today, and he did ask if you could say a few words of remembrance for K-9 Vilco. So that would be next week.
So that'll be by the chief himself,
Yes.
John himself, okay.
And then I guess, will this be sort of a recap for what goes on tomorrow, or will this be a, is that just an announcement for tonight?
This is only for tonight.
Okay.
The tomorrow night is National Night Out. I think you left it off your list too because it won't be pertinent next week. It's tomorrow night.
Anybody going? Sorry, I'll miss it.
Here, right, Phil? Yeah, up top.
I don't know, I don't know yet if I can.
Karen, that's got grandkids written all over it.
I know, but they both,
Balloon artist and-
they both got COVID tested today, so we gotta wait.
Okay.
They don't know yet, but can't bring them out if they test positive.
True. Public Works,
They have symptoms.
Christopher. Are you a Christopher? I don't know if I've ever called you.
Yeah. Well, number one, I apologize for throwing the bomb and not being here.
And then getting out of the country? You had to leave the country for that one.
So I guess, the reason why this came up originally was in 2012, I did a symposium with Upper Merion Township, and I represented the municipal collection portion. They had a consultant there for municipal subscription, and there was also somebody there for a municipal contract. So there's basically three ways that municipalities get their trash collected in-house, and agreed to a contract which is put out to bid, and one hauler will get the whole township, and/or what I do in King of Prussia is I hire my own hauler. I can choose whoever I wish. At that time, they were talking about the one consultant who, I think he worked for Republic at the time. Basically, he said that, and this was in my memo, that collecting trash twice a week was an anomaly these days. Basically, only municipalities, some select municipalities will continue to do it, but really, once a week was not just the national, it was really the global. When you remove the third world countries, anybody that has trash collection, it's basically once a week. So that's got me thinking how we could do it. So I came up with a scenario that we definitely could do it based on whatever your recycle day is, would be your trash today. So it came back to light when I was talking to Conshohocken, and they said, hey, we're going to run a pilot program and see how it works, because it just doesn't make sense to canvass the township so much when you're going to move to. So that's basically how that whole idea started. What I did is, it wasn't in your mail, but I had kind of an overview of our trash. I took over as a director in 2007, and our total trash, so you see on the left-hand side you have all the items that we collect, and they're all in tonnage, so all these numbers are in tonnage. 2007 to 21, over the 15 years that I've been here. You can see that the total trash at that time in 2007 was 6,908 tons. We didn't really have a yard waste program. We had co-mingle. And at that time, actually I was in the sanitation department early on in 1997, where we used to actually sort everything. We had a truck that had the cans on the front, then it had green, brown, clear, and paper in the back. So we got really good at having finesse and dumping everything into the cans. And as the truck was moving, we were flipping bottles into the appropriate bin. The things have changed, and at that time we received, we got about 941 ton of recycling. 2008, looking at the trends and how we can do things better, we made significant changes. We started a yard waste program, which was really huge for our department, and really for the savings they go save. And we also started a single stream program, which you can see, and when you see the co-mingle at 941, and you see in year 2, in 2008, we collected 1,324 tons. And that really peaked around 2014. And then it started declining. And the reason why we have a decline, and you look at 2021, where recycling is 1,206 tons, was last year. really because there was too much residual. We call it the bowling ball effect. I don't know, White Marsh had Recycle Bank. Did you ever hear of Recycle Bank? Where the more you collect, they weigh your can and they would give you coupons. So people were throwing bricks and everything they could.
Oh,
in
Lordy.
their trash can would get weighed. And that's for real. And people would throw a bowling ball in. And so basically they threw anything in the recycle can in order to get weighed. So, but the residual, the numbers look great, but it was, a lot of it was trash. So the old saying was, you know, when in doubt, recycle it. Now it's when in doubt, throw it out. So if it's contaminated, it gets discarded. If there's plastic bags, we don't take it. So that's why that number is 1,206, because it's in Plymouth, at least because we do rear load, we can actually see what we've done. So if somebody's dumping things that aren't recyclable, we'll give them a tag and let them know that they're not doing the right thing. So that's why those numbers have dropped off. The single stream plants were crying out for help, saying, hey, help us out here, and there's too much residual. So a lot of it was getting discarded in trash. But as you can see, under the trash disposal budget, the significance of what we've done over these years is, you know, my budget, I inherited a budget of $539,000 in year one, and you can see that steadily decline. So all said, had we done nothing and just kind of didn't have a yard waste program, we'd pay about $8 million in that 15 years for our trash disposal, and we've only paid about $5 million. So we've saved about $3 million. A lot of it was through diversion. A lot of it was that the Montanay was run on the county grounds. The tipping fee was a little higher, and it has certainly come down. So between diversion and the number coming down per ton, that's why we're, I think in 2015, our budget was $255,000. It's hard to believe it's almost half, $250,000. Literally, we would have been taking $2 million, $1 million a year and just burning it in the trash esteem plant. So one of the reasons why we're such great recyclers in the state of Pennsylvania and the eyes of the state is because of all these savings and all the diversion that we've done. 2008, when the market kind of went south, we didn't take away programs, we actually added some. Any questions on that sheet?
Just a quick question, total recycle and single stream, what's the difference between?
It's not, it's just, single stream is just one of the components of our recycling measures. So that's the glass, plastic, the cardboard is the single stream. Total recycle is adding up single stream, wood chips, white goods, electronics, yard waste, and leaves. That's all recycled. The total trash is just the solid. If you add total recycle and total trash together, you'll get total solid waste. So one thing that I pride myself on is that if you look at the bottom where it says percentage of recycled solid waste, so half the material that we collect, we recycle about half of it. So of all the material that we collect in solid waste, we recycle half. So the 07, it was 30, just under 30%. It was like 29%. We've actually had a year in 2014, in fact, where we recycled 53% of everything that we brought in. And in 06, I actually looked at it today, it was 17% of everything that we collected was recycled. So we made significant progress. So one of the, I apologize, I didn't number these. But on the handwritten note, basically it just gives you some stats. The one thing that I know since COVID is that we've been increasing again. So on a bell curve, we started out high, we started all these recycling programs, we did. And we're starting to raise again because of people are working from home, to be quite honest. So the lunch trash is staying at home now. And we also have increased homes by 100 or so homes since then. The census is going up. That doesn't mean we collect everyone because the census is higher, but there are more homes. And The average household, it's about 4 to 5 pounds a week, 4 or 5 pounds a week. So it comes out to about, every household is about a ton of trash. So every household that comes into the township new, that we're collecting, it's another additional ton. So between the COVID, you can see that we had, in 19, we had 4,758 tons, and these are real numbers. 2020 was 5,300, a little less in 2021, and 2022 is trending a little higher than 2020. So we're going to be at a rate around 5,300 again this year for trash. So on the handwritten, basically just says our proposal that we were talking about 1 day a week is, we have about 5,100 stops. If you divide that by 4, each day is not equal, but I just divided it in quarters, so it's 1,275 stops per day, divided by 3 trucks, is basically 425 stops each. The actual is about 850, so typically on a good day when we have everyone in, we'll have 3 trash trucks running, each with a man on it, and they do about 850 stops each. So it is a lot. The idea with trying to keep people injury-free is that 425 stops, it's actually 900 because it's off and back on the truck. So, you know, it is an opportunity for injury. Believe me, I tried to step on the truck all the time and slam my shin down on it, you know, you kind of miss. And, but we've been lucky. I think I know our risk, risk manager always says that whatever Plymouth's doing, they're doing, because we are the outlier when it comes to rear load trash. And it really comes down to hiring good people. That's really the bottom line. We have people that come to work, want to work, and if they get injured, they come back quickly. So we're blessed in that sense. I also put down here just our trash totals from 2015. Basically, it's a duplicate of what I did here. The other thing is, although the recycling number tonnage is down, our collection time is up with recycling because of the cardboard. So Karen and I were talking today that, you know, perhaps now, so we don't make anybody, a lot of people will compress the cardboard or fold it, but some don't. It doesn't pack good in the trash truck. So we're thinking about having people break down the boxes as a general rule, just so you can, you know, sometimes you get a whole stop and just be cardboard boxes, you know, it's a lot. One of the real advantages, you know, the beneficiary, we're definitely the beneficiary of having the trash and steam plant in our township. And just recently, we now go to JP Mascara, Republic in King of Prussia for our recycling. So we're there dumping and we're back very quickly. So we are definitely the beneficiary of having this in our township. Upper Moreland, for example, has to come all the way down here. So when they're loaded, they got to drive all the way down to Plymouth, dump off, and drive all the way back. So it could be an hour and a half before we're back on the route, and we're back on the route quickly.
Chris, how many times would a truck have to go to the plant and come back on a day?
Usually twice. Usually once in the afternoon and then, or mid-morning maybe, and then once before we're done, or right as soon as we're done. Yeah, and about a month ago, I went with Mike Frank to the dump to see, you know, it was taking a long time, and we sat, and I had it recorded, it was like an hour and 20 minutes, and we sat in line in the queue, waiting to get back out, just because, you know, when they do maintenance, some of the burners are down, and they're dumping on the floor, and the line was all the way out almost to Home Depot, you know. So that's, all these numbers that I calculated were, you know, I didn't do any drive time. This is just picking time. No drive time, no dump time. It's just, you know, so when we talked about on this next one, we have the heaviest collection month and the lightest collection month. This is actually from 2012, but the numbers are pretty similar. This was August 2012, and August is usually our heaviest month, about 445 ton a month, versus February, which is the lightest, and it's true today, about 315 ton a month. This August, we were 467 tons, so that was the most this August. But underneath, I did some scenarios, and if you got a chance to look it over, I didn't calculate 10 men. I calculated all these figures with 9 men because that's the majority of the time. We have 9. 10 is a real bonus when we have 10. But for the most part, because of vacation time, personal time, and sick time, we're usually at 9 men. So basically, I put somewhere in the middle on them, 3 stops a minute, 2 stops a minute. We're looking at about 4 solid hours of picking time on a good day. And again, that doesn't factor in, going from one neighborhood to the next or going to the next.
In some of the neighborhoods, they don't get on and off the truck though, right? They just kind of walk behind, like here in the valley.
Yeah, some of the neighborhoods you can jog in, yeah. But I can say just from experience, there's like Overhill area, that neighborhood there, everyone would run it. Most of the other neighborhoods, you're in the valley here. Yes, you can walk it, but a lot of the other neighborhoods, you got to get on the truck and go to the next stop. And finally, the fuel consumption. And I did a conservative, basically these are real numbers from 2021. Basically, our trash trucks, we just spent 16,813 gallons of diesel fuel. When I did this report, fuel was a little higher than it is right now, but at the time it was $5 a gallon for diesel. So basically, it's $84,000 at $5 a gallon. 50% of that would be $42,000, and I did a conservative approach. So if we did 1 day a week, I figured we'd be somewhere between maybe 40 and probably anywhere between 25 and 40%, somewhere in that range, because you're still out there long, but you're idling, you're not driving, so you're not canvassing a quarter of the township once a week. But I figured we'd save about $21,000 on fuel, and that's 25%. And again, I think that's a good conservative number. If you want 1 day a week. And one other thing is, when you talk about road degradation, one of the biggest leading causes of degrading roads is truck traffic. And the numbers are kind of staggering. So what they do is the engineers came up with it's called an ESAL. It's equivalent single axle load. So basically they needed some kind of comparison of a truck versus cars. So they came up with 18,000 pounds is what an axle, basically the weight of an axle. So if you have 3 axles, typically the rear axles are 18,000 and the front axle is a little lighter. But you can see this without going into anything. One trash truck going down the street is the equivalent of 9,600 compact cars going down. So one trash truck trip down the road is equivalent to almost 10,000 cars. So that's real. I mean, that's so the roads do get beat up, but there's just another factor to consider. The good news is that I don't think we're ready yet, but if we needed to, we could do it and unfold very quickly to 1 day a week. I didn't realize that everyone. And the reason why I see how hard our guys were working, to be honest. They've been working long hours, and I try to come up with a solution for them because they are really, the time where they used to be maybe 1 o'clock, they roll back. They don't take any lunch until they're done. They choose to do that. So these guys would get back at 1 or so and eat lunch and then having like the last 45 minutes to themselves. But now they're pushing 3 o'clock and pushing 2 o'clock, and Mike Franco foreman, I can't say, he's such a, always thinking of the township in mind. He's always, doesn't want to ever get overtime. And even when he could, and they don't, because he wants to keep pushing and he thinks it looks bad on him. So he's been, we're blessed to have somebody like him who does keep the township in mind. But they're working hard, you know. As it trends the way it is, it just, you know, I feel like only having 9, we have to have 8 men to be able to do this, to get this done. We have less than 8 men, we have to start transferring. And when we start transferring, again, we come light in some other departments. And during this time of year, we really need people. This was a difficult year, couldn't find any part-time help. We wanted to get 3 part-timers and we couldn't find them. You know, so it is amazing. But, you know, the guys are working hard. The volume is, I feel like the trend is going to be here. I think we'll probably be about 5,000. Because if you look at the consistency of those numbers from 2009 all the way to 2019, it's always about 4,700, which kind of puts you right in line with the amount of houses. I said each household has about 1 ton of trash. It kind of puts you right around 5,000. Any questions?
Just curious if you if you could kind of describe, if I was an employee working on a trash truck day to day, how would my sort of like daily schedule look different if I was coming to work and every house was getting picked up once a week compared to how it is now? How would their daily schedule be different?
Honestly, it wouldn't really change that much because they're going to be. They would save a little bit of time because they're not canvassing, you know, the half of the township, but they're collecting the same amount of trash. So they're spending a little bit more time in front of each house versus, you know, drive time. But I feel like the time and date that they're going to finish is going to be about the same.
So then why would we change?
I'm sorry?
If they have to work the same amount of time and lift the same amount,
Well, because they're
why
not
would
on
we
the,
change?
they're not on and off the truck as many times. I mean, it's pretty significant when you have to go to another half of the township and you got to do it again. Saving 450 stops a person, that's 3 trucks, each person, 450 tons, but that's off and on, off and on, off and on. So it's pretty significant.
but in the injury statistics shows that in 20 years, we had 5 injuries related to on and off and 10 related to heavy loads. So we're giving them heavier loads when they're getting hurt twice as much from heavy loads. I mean, I just don't want to put undue stress on these guys from having to pick up a whole week's worth of trash at each house rather than half of that amount. I also wonder, you mentioned that you leave little slips to people who are recycling the wrong stuff. And one of the things that concerns me is people using these big trash cans that are meant for trucks that pick them up. And they're not allowed in our township. And I wonder if something can be done about that to notify the people that these are not allowed in our township.
You're right, and it's really getting out of hand right now.
I think something needs to be done. I really do. It is wrong. And I know that, for example, Conshohocken, which is our closest neighbor, last one to, most recent one to be going to once a week, but they have trucks that pick up the trash cans. Their guys don't pick up the trash cans.
We have 3. We actually have 3 mechanical lifters.
Yeah, but we don't have, are they using them?
Yeah, they're having like we tell people, like in the beginning when it first came out, there was a few stops and I wanted to put an end to it. The guys are like, you know, this is how the guys are. They're like, no, it's fine. They just reach out, they reach into the can and pull the bags out. But if it's a sloppy can, they can't do that. So now they got to pick it up. And if you ever picked up it, you have to pick it up 4 feet in the air and get it and hold it up. It is difficult. And
So
people
what can
just
we
don't
do to put a
understand.
stop to people using those trash cans? They shouldn't be using them.
Yeah,
It's in our
And I
township.
do agree.
I mean, it's in,
The can itself weighs.
it's on the
40 pounds.
website. Yeah, it's on the website what we're allowed to do. You know, we have four cans and a certain size.
Right.
30-gallon cans.
Right, It
So-
seems like there are two reasons why we would entertain this. One is to keep our public works workers safer, to keep our sanitation workers safe. And I'm with Karen, like, if there's something that's happening where we're not doing everything we can to keep them safe, and I'm not saying I'm not pointing fingers, but if people are putting out trash bins that are too big, then let's correct for that. You know, what else can we do to keep them safe? That's one reason why we should consider this. The other is there a cost savings to the township? I mean, regardless of the safety issue, wear and tear on the roads, fuel, and those to me they're both important issues, but they're separate issues. And I'm wondering which we're really trying to address and solve for, and if there are other solutions, particularly for the keeping the workers safe. Like, that to me is a primary concern.
Yeah.
Like, how do we keep them safe? I worry terribly that people are just going to put out tons more trash on there one day. The cans are going to get bigger, the cans are going to get heavier, and they're stepping up and down less, but they're just picking up heavier loads at every single home.
Yeah, the carts are not, I mean, there's no doubt, because when you think about it, we have a 50-pound limit, and, you know, and it's basically on a 32-pound, the size of our recycle bin, and now they're using carts. And the can itself weighs 40 pounds, so technically they would only be able to put 10 pounds of trash, but we all know that they don't. I mean, sometimes there's cans, people complain, and I'll go, I can't even move them,
Yeah.
you know? So it is difficult, for sure.
If one particular can is way too heavy, we do reserve the right to refuse to take the
We
trash.
do.
And we have.
Yeah,
So
we
we can, I mean, I know it would cause some controversy. We'd have to go out with statements ahead of time saying that there's an increase and that we've seen this and we're not able to accommodate
Right,
it.
right.
Would that help your guys?
Yeah, and we do. I mean, we do tag the cans, and any time that I want to get a message across, we leave it, but we're not going to call. So it prompts a conversation, for sure. And we just had a big stop on one of the roads. There were 6 carts, 6 huge carts, and I met him out there, and we talked about it, and they said we like a party lot. This guy was coming from somewhere else. So
Okay.
somebody has a
There's a water
it's
fountain
coming
up
from
there.
his house, so it's a lot. You know, we talked about having 4 can limit, 32-gallon cans, and we're now using 96-gallon cartons.
Yeah, I think we need to start telling people
Yeah.
with some kind of slip. I mean, I got to tell you, the mailman never fails to tell me when I didn't shovel out my mailbox right after you guys have plowed it in. And, you know, I mean, it's something that, you know, they just got some kind of slip or something, and if they're putting out too much, just let them know. And I don't know if we start fining people or something if they want, either, don't pick it up, or, but,
No, you're right. It's, the carts are becoming way out of hand right now.
yeah, I think that's and you know, as Lynn was saying, if people are gonna put everything out on one day, those guys are gonna be picking up monstrous amounts,
Right.
lifting and up 4 feet and throwing it in the truck and all of that bending, lifting, twisting. That's gonna take a toll on them, something
Yeah, it does.
fierce.
I still remember real quick, a story that, and I was actually my brother that was on the trash truck, and he picked up a can and it was overloaded, and he had everything shoved in it, and he's out trying to get the contents out. He's got it lifted up, and he's doing this, and a lot of times you just bang the tip onto the rear, and to try to get it out, and it won't come out, and the homeowner came out and came in the spring. And he says, why can't you just do it like this? And he picked up the can, and he went like this, and nothing came out, and nothing came out, and nothing came out, and then he went, put the can down, he goes, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
At least he was honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what people don't know. It's like, you know, when you have to do that,
Oh, they're doing it all day long. It's horrendous.
it can be a lot. Yeah, it can be a lot.
Yeah, I think we need to let people know, because everyone loves our trash guys,
Right.
And I think if they knew what they're doing to them, a lot of them would be willing to change their ways and get smaller cans. I mean, those cans are illegal in our township.
Yeah, I think that's a good solution.
Thanks for the details and the info. It's good. I guess to be continued conversation.
Yeah.
Is it or is it the end of it?
Hmm?
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, do you want to, I was just hoping to put it to bed, you know, like, are you going to stick with twice a week and just say that's it?
Yeah, I mean, we're
Yeah.
keep it as it
And
is
keep it as it is.
for now, but we'll continue to monitor things and discuss it, I think, just informally, but we can.
And also
You can let people know it's not-
requiring people to
Right.
break down their cardboard boxes. I mean, I see them too. They've got these gigantic big boxes, Amazon boxes out there, and it's like, can't you just zip the tape on the other side and flatten the darn
Yeah,
thing?
because the blade has to be run a couple times at every stop, that takes time.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we need to start letting people know that they've got to collapse the cardboard boxes.
Both those topics in the newsletter in a prominent place.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris. Anything else from you?
Thanks for all this information, though. I like the thing about what the trucks do to the roads. Oh,
That's amazing, 10,000
yeah.
cars.
And man, trash trucks from all over come flying down Butler Pike to get to Covanta. And I mean, they are nowhere near doing the speed limit. And those things are like monsters coming by all day long. Not now, but when they take down that barrier, they'll be back.
Mr. Manai.
Nothing tonight, sir.
You're empty here.
Let's see. First action will be Conicelli. That is Nick. Sandy Hill.
Also, Nick,
Nick. Conicelli Ridge, Nick again.
See what happens when you're gone, Nick?
The extension request for Exeter.
that's Kathy's area. Mike, did you read that letter?
I did, and Exeter's attorney is present this evening in case anyone has any questions.
So what project is that?
That's the one off Plymouth Road near the South Lanes new housing development where they have approval for a 5 or a 7-story office building near the turnpike. But. you
So
know,
that's
nobody's
not it.
building
I thought
office
that
right
was in
now.
3. Is that where the assisted living house is, or is that a different place?
No, it's a different place.
Oh.
I looked it up today. It's definitely Kathy's zone.
Oh, okay, so it's on the other side of Germantown.
Yeah, do you know where Plymouth, it was used to be called Plymouth Woods, across from the Plymouth Elementary School?
Yes.
That's the area.
Oh,
That's Exeter.
okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's not me.
Yeah, but no,
Plymouth Woods?
Plymouth Woods.
Yeah, that's Lynn, right?
No, it's not me. Across from Plymouth Elementary, I'm not.
Yeah, both sides of
I'm
Plymouth
sorry, it is Lynn.
are 3.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's
You're
It
right.
was-
Okay.
I think it was Marty the last time. we
Because I
talked
was
about it.
thinking, like, where is this?
Is-
Sorry.
Is there anything in this letter that, Karen, that you have questions about, or?
No, just the legality of it from Mike's standpoint. So once you have an approval, you have a 5-year protection plan. Like the applicant's asking for an additional 5 years. Not from fees that might change, but I suppose if ordinances change or uses change, permitted uses or setbacks or other things, I mean, I have a plan that's conditionally approved. So to me, it's more of a legal question.
So they like want to be grandfathered in case there are any changes going forward?
So they have an approval,
Right.
and they're asking for an extension, and that's within your discretion to grant that extension. Karen is right, that if you change any of your ordinances regarding saldo or zoning or any of the other land development, they have an approved plan, a conditionally approved plan, so they would not have to comply with anything that is, that you may change moving forward. They do have to comply with any stormwater updates, and they have, their stormwater permit will need to be renewed within the next year or so, I think next year at some point in time. So that they don't get out from under any changes with respect to that, so. If you mind coming forward so you can by the microphone.
Hi everyone, I'm Allison Purchase here for Denise Yarnoff, who apologizes for not being here.
as does Jason, honestly, from Exeter. His wife has COVID, and obviously he didn't want to come. But the reason we're at this was right before COVID. We tried to market it. We got a 5-story and 7-story building approved, hoping to bring a headquarters there, and it'd be much easier for us to market this if we had a vested plan. But as Mike said, after our NPDES permit is expired in August, we'll be compliant with any updates to stormwater management ordinance, building code, and fees, obviously. So it's really just use setbacks, things like that won't change when we go to market it.
Thanks.
This is the one did we waive a traffic impact fee in lieu of adding a traffic signal there or something?
There is, it's part of the condition, I think, that, if PennDOT would approve a traffic signal, one might be applied for at the time.
And all that just stays. It's all part of the
It's all
package.
part of that
Yep, yep.
conditional approval.
Yeah, the only thing that's, in any way, if you approve this, the only thing that can change is the stormwater aspect of it because of their NPDES permit.
So, like, if you took off his use away, and they're asking you that you don't, they'd be grandfathered in for that.
Sure.
Anything else would affect the plan.
And the changes of stormwater would be most likely more restrictive, not less restrictive.
Yes. Yeah, they're not going to benefit from the changes in
From waiting.
stormwater. Nobody's relaxing stormwater regs right now.
No, not these days. Poor
All right.
Cam.
I don't have any questions. Anybody else have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Code enforcement.
Okay, first thing, we have a few properties that we've actually had to lien this summer. And the amount of time Brad is spending on this to get them into compliance where they're not, we actually have to go cut the grass and things like that, for the lien on the property. To me, right now, we're doing it for nothing. And I think since they're not compliant, we should have an administrative fee to go on with that lien to help recoup our costs of our manpower and everything.
Can we do that, Mike?
I don't know. You're allowed to assess, when you're leaning properties, you're allowed to assess legal fees and filing fees, any filing fees with the courts. These are code enforcement liens for, or
Right.
these?
Basically, just this month, or last month now, we had 3 properties. We had to have the grass cut again this second time this summer. It was total $1,100 between the 3 properties.
So we're cutting the grass and then.
Well, we're hiring somebody
We're
to
hiring
cut the
somebody,
grass,
and then we're leaning the
we're
property.
paying them, and then we're leaning the property.
We can take a look, figure out whether or not it's permissible and whether or not there's a cap on what the percentages are. Most things you are allowed to charge an administrative fee. It has to be related to, it doesn't have to be dollar for dollar the exact cost, but you can't charge, a 180% fee on something if that wouldn't have any rational relationship to what was being spent, but we could take a look.
And my other question was, can you do it as a percent rather than as a flat fee?
Well, I
Like-
do have it as a percent. I'm looking at possibly at 20% of
Yeah.
whatever the lien will be.
So I was just wondering, can you do it as a percent, or do you have to do it as a flat dollar?
Yeah,
amount?
normally, you could probably, if you're permitted to do it, normally in these instances, you can do it either way. Most places normally do it as a percentage
Okay.
because it's more reflective of the actual work that's being done than just a flat dollar amount.
That makes sense, yes.
What is our obligation, if any, to communicate that in advance before you say to somebody, well, now you owe us X? Do we have to post that somewhere? Does it have to be communicated?
These are usually people we can't even get a hold of, don't even know where they live.
But I mean, does it have to be on our township website somewhere that this is what happens, as opposed to it just happening one day? I mean,
Well,
I'm
they
just
get
thinking
warned.
if we do, we'd have to get ahead of that, yeah.
Well, do they get a warning, don't they? Or something, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
And it's posted on the
On
property,
the door,
too.
so you could post it
Right
on the
now-
door that it would be,
Yeah, there you go.
Brad posts the property for 5 days, which is section 10-101 or general law. Okay? After 5 days, he'll post a second violation and give him 3 more days. And after that, then he posts the notice that we're going to cut it in so many days,
And then leave them.
and then we leave.
Right. And then all you'd have to do is you could probably just reference back to the code, the particular code section. Like, I don't think we would be responsible for saying, all of the fees and costs. You can say you are responsible for the cost of leaning the property, and you should check Plymouth Township Code section
And
whatever.
that
So,
will
yeah,
work
that
in
that
that
would
there's a
satisfy
fee.
the notice requirement.
These are not people who are looking at our website.
Yeah,
But anyway, find them.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we do the right thing by putting it in writing wherever we need to, and
If
then,
it's questioned, we can
Yeah.
say these are the steps we've taken.
But when you're out canvassing, you see some of those houses, there are like notices all up and down the doors.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, we'll have Mike look into it. In principle, it sounds like a good idea.
yeah.
And then the waiver for Plymouth Little League, is that, it's pretty standard, I assume?
Yes. Keystone will waive their fees if you waive your fees. And I think this one's a total of like $60?
60 for your part.
66, yeah,
60 and
or somewhere along there.
Any
It
questions?
says it, 60.
Who wants to read that next week? Anything not on the agenda for you? Anything else?
That's it from me.
I have a question. I haven't asked you anything in a while. So, Karen, the meeting that you were away, I think we had a resident from Plymouth Hill slip an envelope or a letter. I think I gave it to Kellen about the ring road around the mall.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a code enforcement issue, if that's something that they're required to.
I have that letter, it's from Maureen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's bad, really bad in two spots where like damage to vehicle bad, kind of by Burlington. And I don't know if that's something that code enforcement would like notify them that they have to.
I don't know that they can force them to do it, but, I mean, it's their property, they should maintain it. Can you force them to maintain a driveway around a mall? I don't think
No.
so.
I can't force you to maintain your driveway.
Right, but yeah, I didn't know if there was like a parking lot maintenance that they had to.
No.
It's bad. It's really bad. I can't believe they haven't fixed it yet. It's so bad. But,
They're not.
yes, I'm aware.
They're such a good company.
December 12th.
It's shocking.
Anyway, I don't know if anybody brings it up to us. Like if somebody damages their car, like what should we tell them? Like is there something?
They have to seek redress against Priya.
Contact Reed.
Okay.
Yeah, seek redress against Priya.
All right. Then. That
Good
answers
luck.
that question.
Get in line.
Yeah.
Any concerns about any of the zoning?
Yes, the first one.
Yeah.
So they're asking for 116 parking spaces where 351 are required. So this is a vacant, this is probably like the last vacant piece of property in that Plymouth Park development back where the Wood Spring is and the Homewood Suites and the, IMS or the name for whatever that place is, and the storage unit places. They're behind the Metroplex area that Peter Cross used to own now, Plymouth Park. Cafe Earl owns it. If you look at their application, they're showing like this huge building they want to build, and they're creating their own hardship. It's silly. Want to put a 100,000 square foot building on this lot, and then they won't have enough room for parking spaces. And I talked to Dave. So Neil Stein is their attorney. Dave's been asking for additional information because they're just asking for the special exception for the use and a variance for the parking. But it appears from their application, they're going to need building coverage variance, impervious coverage variance, setback variances for the building, for the parking. They're going to need a lot more variances besides this application. Dave's been asking for it, but he hasn't gotten anything. And they keep coming back and telling Dave that the client doesn't want to wait until all the issues are identified, all the zoning relief necessary. So they don't really have.
It's called development.
Plan that we could look at, but, it would be my suggestion.
How can you grant a
Close that
variance
one
if you don't
up.
even know what's going to go in there and what they're going to get? I mean, that's so
Well, they want
crazy.
to build this fitness center kind of a thing, and they know what they want, but I don't know where they think the people will park.
Well,
And
but
it
they're asking for
appears
something, they
that
don't even know what
they'll
they're
need a
gonna
lot more zoning relief as besides, but, so that one is of a concern to us.
Sounds like they're doing it in dribs and drabs to kind of sneak each stage through. We got that, let's move on to the next.
I had a question about the last one. this-
Well, I'm sorry, before you
Oh, go ahead,
do we
let's stay
want
on
to
that.
let zoning handle that, or do we want to like go as far as sending out positions? What do you?
It's up to you. I would,
I think it's
I think
premature.
it's significant, you know.
It's premature. They need an entire plan, and they need a whole package of variances.
It appears that they will be needing more, yes, if they were ever granted to build a building that size.
I think the zoning hearing board ought to decide that this is way premature.
Unfortunately, they don't have that ability. An application's been filed, it's been passed on to the zoning hearing board. So the zoning hearing board just on its own can't say, we think you need a lot more relief. All the zoning hearing board can decide on August 15th is whether or not they're going to be granted the special exception and granted the variance for the parking.
Well, should we formally oppose? Anybody?
I
Or
think
roll
we
the dice
should.
with zoning?
I
You have
think
to
we
have
should.
parking, I mean,
Yeah, create too many problems.
I would suggest that perhaps in the next day or so, someone from my office, Dave, Lonnie, Karen, can sit down, identify all the relief that's needed.
We can't because it's not an engineered plan. What they give you here, there's no measurements on it.
Oh, okay. Well,
You can't.
yeah, this has a
Seen it?
lot of
Yeah, I've seen
problems.
it.
You've seen it, and
It's
it-
ver- It's a sketch plan.
Is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like on tab 3, I think in your book, is the, maybe, yeah, past tab, yeah, number 3.
aerial photograph with the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not engineered,
It's nothing.
Oh, that's nothing at all.
But you, I
It's
mean, you
just a
can see where
blob.
the building is right up against the property line. I'm sure there's, you know, it's not gonna make the building or the building setback over that in that corner.
It's in front of the planning commission.
It is, because they don't want to postpone their hearing.
Can the can the zoning board reject their application on the basis that it's not an engineered drawing?
No,
No.
because you don't need an engineered drawing for the relief that they're seeking. They're just
Okay.
seeking a reduction in the number of parking spaces and a special exception to operate an indoor training
So the
facility.
plan is the reason we all can't sit down
Right. So,
and have a list of what's wrong with it.
And if they know that they have 116 parking spaces, they have a plan.
Exactly.
They're just not sharing it yet.
If they don't have enough parking spaces, then I think Wood Springs and Homewood Suites is going to object to people parking over in their area. I don't know. I mean, where are the cars gonna
If
go?
they come to the hearing, if they don't,
yeah.
they may.
All right, let's oppose it.
In this
See what
last one, this thing saying that there's a discrepancy in our zoning ordinance, like that's a presupposition, there's no discrepancy. Suku John, who lives on a corner, I mean, all corners are that way.
Yeah, I read it, Karen. I don't agree with them, but,
There's no discrepancy.
Yeah.
It's a corner property, all corner properties face the same.
and 2 front yards.
They said like we have 2 roads. Yeah, that's what the definition of a corner property is. You've got 2 roads. I mean, it's like an unusual corner property.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I just thought it was kind of silly the way it was written. But I'll leave that up to zoning hearing board. There's no discrepancy.
Very odd-shaped lot, and they want to put an addition to it, so,
Well, they want to put a lot.
yeah, carport and a
Carport, portico,
and a
2-story addition. Yeah, turn it into a nice little mini mansion there on Jolly and Malvern. It'll look nice.
All right, who wants to read those? Volunteer?
I can read those.
Karen?
Represent Karen.
Karen.
And there's a certificate of appropriateness here.
Who wants to read that?
Any takers?
I can do that.
Kathy? Mr. Brady?
have our salt program starting to take shape, so we have those now. And also send a spreadsheet over to the requested veterans matters.
Would you want to take the upcoming events?
Well, I can do that.
Move on to the banners. I've had a chance to look at this spreadsheet for the banners that Phil put together. There's some different ways to go about it, and different places to hang them. You know, first one is they could be hung inside the building, maybe at a cost of about $124 a person. You know, a banner. Banners hung outside, either in the parking lot here at the community center or on the trail. The Hometown Heroes has the white glove service where they would come and hang them. They would put them up, put them down, store them in between. Like we talked before, we don't have.
I didn't know that was an option. The
It's not a
white,
cheap option.
the
it's an
white,
option.
the white glove
And
service.
they really call it the white
White
glove
glove
service.
premium service.
But we have to pay for that.
Oh, it's
Or
expensive.
the banner person,
Well, it would
the
be
banner
the-
buyer.
Total banner prices are a little over $400.
$6,000 for the white glove service.
That's
Per-
on top of
per
the
banner?
cost. That's on top of the cost per banner.
Correct.
$6,000 per,
Per banner?
No, $6,000 total. The banners are per banner. So if you get 50 banners, they will charge you $6,490 to install, remove, storage, and maintenance. So
But
it's
that's
a-
6,000 per year,
Correct. No, I think you get 2 years out of it. So,
2 years.
yeah.
And then after 2 years, is it on the township to pay for it, or the?
Well, that's what they last. One banner lasts 2 years. So you put them up, it stays up for a year, not a year, for a season, take them down and put them up again the next year. Because they probably fade and get beat up.
get beat up from this weather.
Phil, is that cost not included in the $412?
It is.
Oh, it is.
It is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
included that in there.
Oh, so that's why that,
That's,
Yeah, that's why it's so high.
got
yeah,
it, got it.
yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the
Oh,
average, if you were to sell all 50 of them.
Exactly.
And then the last one, I don't know if anybody, what you think, but is putting them on a shared banner that can be attached to the chain link fence. And we could put six people, 6 banners together on a sheet and do it that way. You could hang them around the ball field here and probably other fields around the township. It's the most reasonable price.
That's not
It's
very
not Hometown
respectful,
Hero
I'm
brand.
sorry.
I mean, I like the regular, I
Yeah,
like the regular ones more.
because on a chain link fence is more for advertising, commercial stuff, I think, when it's a
You can
veteran.
get closer to it, though. You can actually see it, and it's
That's
much more
true,
reasonable, but.
And it's centrally located. So if you come in and you're here, you see all the veterans at once. You don't have to go around and see them.
Oh,
And
okay.
it gives people a reason to come to the park, to see the veterans walk. And it makes the aesthetically, the fence will look better, I think, for the veterans one, as opposed to just fence.
Would they last perhaps longer?
I think we probably could get 2 years out of them, yeah. We can put them up around Memorial Day and then take them down after Veterans Day. I think I can find a way to store them, and then we put them up again the next year, and then offer for other people who want.
Seems like they get beaten up a lot less. They won't
What
be
fence-
flapping in the
what
wind.
fence are you talking
I put them
Blowing
on
in the wind.
the back of the baseball field fence. So as you walk down the middle of the park, we put.
Which park, here or East
Right
Plymouth
here,
Valley?
right here. Yeah, we should start here. The community centers are downtown, so we should put them in our downtown, I think. People could park, it's easy, handicap parking, walk up, look at them, and take a picture with them if they want.
To get up the hill to get to that, is there a hill?
You do, but we'll make them big enough you don't have to get that close to it,
Well, if you park up at Walton Road.
so. Yeah.
I actually kind of like that idea, because the back of that fence is very bare.
It
and
is.
It's
I
somewhat,
agree, yeah.
somewhat not like overly aesthetically
Right.
pleasing. That's
And if
an
they were
interesting.
all,
that's
if
an
they were
interesting
all
idea.
similar looking, they all had the,
It would look like this. See, it has this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got the idea from Bethlehem. They do it up there in Steel Center.
oh, they
This
do
would
it that
look
way then?
commercial then. This would just look like. it's a
Yeah, if it were
person.
the person in their uniform, a big
Yeah.
portrait like that.
And it's very inexpensive for veterans. So I think that's a bonus. And we might be able to get somebody to pay for it so we can charge the veterans next to nothing. So,
What's the size, the max size that they would be?
I'm up, I measured the fence, the squares of the fence, And I think we'll have to decide whether we want to try to get 6 photos or 8 in there. This one has 8 up in Bethlehem, but, you know, the bigger I think the better. I think, because you can, like you said, you can see it up the hill. And we got a lot of room to play with, because it goes all the way around to the scoreboard. That's a lot of room to play with.
Yeah.
So I promised Joanna we'd leave some space for the advertising for the concerts, but we'll work. I mean, it's not exactly what the other communities do, but given the challenges we face without a downtown, without a lift, I think it's probably worth a try.
People who come to use the pavilion would be able to see it.
All the people that walk down from the baseball games, use the restrooms, people that walk in the morning, come to the concerts and the movies, so.
It would offer the best opportunity for the biggest captive audience.
Exactly, exactly.
I like that.
I like the hanging an inside idea too. It would look like a high school gymnasium, but, you know, it'll get dusty, you know, they'll get beat up a little bit in there too. That's inexpensive because we can do all the hanging that way. So that's an option as well. And the folks at hometown here, when they have churches that do that, they hang them in their sanctuaries.
I like that fence idea. I would be interested to explore that and see.
Yeah, the gymnasium.
As long as these banners,
Not enough people will see it.
as long as those banners could look nice, like as close to, I mean, those ones they hang down Main Streets are really nice, and they have
Yeah.
the campaign they served in, and the, you know, the old photo and stuff, and they really look nice. So, you know, if the banners are close to looking like that.
There's a company that does the banners that's in the township for us. Maybe I could get them to make us a model. I could bring it back and take a look at it. So,
Or show us a fence that has them.
yeah,
The only thing I worry about, kids can be buggers,
they can be.
and it's more accessible to
It is.
somebody with paint and markers. And
Yeah.
Oh,
And that is a legitimate concern. Let me see what the banner company says, if it's an easy clean.
Yeah.
Again, if we have to replace them, they're not that expensive.
Okay.
It's just $100 a banner, so we would have to see the hoop and go and put a new one up there, so.
Okay.
I like it. Just check with Barb.
Yep, I was gonna do that.
Keep her in the
I'll do
loop.
that. I will, and I
They
think
should know where they're
Kathy and
fencing.
Somebody was interested too, so.
Good.
Yeah, I will check with Bart and get a mock-up made. Because in terms of timeline, I was thinking we could announce it at Veterans Day this year and have them in place for Memorial Day next year.
That would be
With the
great.
ceremony, they're here, and
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking.
Thanks, Phil.
Well,
I like the idea too that they're on the fence and they're all sort of equally visible. Like
Yeah.
there's not a, well, one is in a spot that
Right.
everybody walks by.
Right,
One is tucked in the
right,
corner of the soccer
right.
field that no one's ever seen.
right, and you're not driving back and saying, oh, you know,
Yeah.
that's the one I want to see. Everybody's together, so.
It's nice.
All right. Citizen board vacancy announcement.
I can do that.
Anything else? All right. Meeting adjourned.